It's the Glaziar Gamble podcast. Welcome, everybody. Today is all about Loki, episode 3. We're hoping you've seen it because there's probably going to be spoilers in here. We try to avoid them, but, we never really do a great job of doing that.
We do it better on the movies.
We do.
But because this is accessible to everyone.
When we do movie reviews, we're pretty good on that.
Right.
This episode has gotten the most traction of the 3. So far, each episode has had more viewers.
This one makes sense because you have the freaking powerhouse of an actor that is Jonathan Majors
and
in
Tom
this
Hiddleston.
one. And Tom Hiddleston. But you had Tom Hiddleston in the first two.
Guma Bathra.
Yeah.
She's really good too. So it's like...
Right.
Whatever. Tara Strong, is that the voice of Miss Minutes?
Tara Strong.
They're all good. They're all good. They're all good.
There's a reason why this is the number one watch Disney Plus Marvel show.
So this episode was, in my opinion, was kind of frustrating.
Okay.
I don't know. So I think a lot of my frustration came from it felt like it was obvious where it was going. So anytime it slowed down or anytime they tried to do any sort of filler scene to help build the story, build suspense and that sort of thing, it kind of was like, let's get on with it because we know where this is going. We know Sylvie's gonna show up and try to kill them. We know that eventually they're gonna have to get everybody's gonna have to end up somewhere.
Sorry, I'm very confused in regards to, I know what Loki and Mobius wanted. They wanted to get him and his essence, his temporal aura to the temporal loom, which is Victor Timely, right? So I know that was their mission. But then what was Renslayer's mission?
Sylvie tells her Renslayer's mission is to find power. I think that whole time, even the whole her being interested in him, I know that's from the comics, and yes, she probably does have genuine interest, but I think her goal this whole time is to become the number one in power. Eventually she would try to overtake Kang. I think her mission in her mind was let's beat the TVA because now they're the enemy, reset the TVA and be number one.
Sure. Okay. That makes sense. Because I felt her feelings, obviously her feelings weren't genuine. It was just kind of like, I'm gonna bat my eyes and give a smile to influence this version of Kang that does not know her.
I told my wife that it was either manipulative interest or it was poor direction, not necessarily poor acting, but it felt not real. So if you wanted us to think that was a real connection that they had, I didn't feel it. I thought it felt manipulative or fake.
Right. No, yeah. No, I mean, that's what I felt as well. And I think this version of Kang, this variant of Kang, is very susceptible to new things because he's in a previous version historically. All these different influences are very intriguing to him, and he's more like, I want to know things. And so
he even mentioned himself, his ideas are ahead of their time.
Right.
So being given that TVA guidebook where he is now he knows that there's a different world out there, the future is filled with new technologies, so he knows he's smart enough to these ideas are in his head. So I think he is not only susceptible, but it's also like a naive excitement. He wants new things, and he's kind of, I don't want to reuse the same word, but gullible, naive, where these new things are, like you said, he's susceptible. I think those things, it's because he wants to try these new things. He wants to find out these new things because he wants to find out the true extent of how much his knowledge was beyond his
Sure. And I think something they did do well is they stated pretty early on that he doesn't do partners. He wants to do this. He wants to do this his way. He doesn't want someone riding his coattails and or influencing what he is trying to accomplish. That's where I think the Renslayer wants to partner with him to think we're on the same team, to make him think we're on the same team, when in reality, I think you're right. She wants to inevitably take control.
Right. Which I hope we do find out why Victor Timely is so worried about the word partner, because they showed it early when that guy wanted to buy his loom.
Right.
he wanted to be a partner with him and buy like the rights to it, and I'll take care of the
Right.
merchandising. And he
Right.
made it clear so that when Renslayer grabbed his hand and said want to be partners, immediately when you saw Miss Minutes smile or
Yeah,
whatever,
smirk. He pulled away, and you
he
could
pulled
see his
away,
face go from like
happy to,
not endeared, but like he
yeah.
was like infatuated, kind of to like
And seeing
cold.
like that, they jumped right to it. The audience immediately knew, uh-oh, she said partner, that
Right.
something bad's gonna happen, and immediately 30 seconds later, 10 seconds later, she's dropped on the boat
Yeah.
into the water. And I was like, holy, like, okay, I guess we're not gonna jump to Loki and Mobius. We're gonna find out why he doesn't like partner. I mean, we don't know why he doesn't like partner, but
Partner.
they got that immediately. I do want to, so let's jump to the big things from this episode that everybody wanted to talk about right away. So we'll mention it. Miss Minutes is in love with He Who Remains,
Right.
to a insane psycho level. She wants a
Right.
body so that she can just ride that Kang.
Right.
She wants to be conquered 100%.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was cool. It was believable. It was creepy,
Yeah. It
but
was weird. The one weird thing to me was that for how intelligent of an AI she is, she assumed that every Kang would be like her, He Who Remains.
right.
And so the fact that she was just full on like with this
She
person
was
who has
sharing information with
right.
him. Yeah, it was weird. I thought the
Like
same thing.
that was weird. Like that didn't mesh well.
But to what extent did He Who Remains tell her? Like, did He Who Remains tell her, now this guy is easily susceptible, so try to act like you're in love with him? Like, did He Who Remains tell her all this?
Right.
It could be that level because
Right.
he has controlled every step from here on out that we know of.
Right.
Yes, he said he doesn't know
Well,
what's
yeah,
going to
according
happen
to
in
the
the future,
plan.
but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
From that point. Right. Right.
but
But
we don't know what he truly has planned.
right. Right. We don't know. Obviously, there was a plan in place to give him that TVA guidebook. So
He had a
that was
backup plan
right.
in case he
Right.
was ever killed.
Sure.
It's weird to me. I don't know what necessarily is fake or not. However, Sylvie makes all the wrong choices. Season 1,
Yeah.
all the wrong choices. And
100%.
I tweeted this out, X'd it out, posted it. Make sure to follow us there, at Glaziar Gamble, all the good stuff. Mention that everybody tells Loki, like all these side characters, even some of the main characters, especially in season 1, tells Loki, like, you constantly make the bad choice. Even when you think you're doing the right thing, what you do ends up going poorly. Nobody tells Sylvie this, but
She's probably
it's
killed
true
everyone
for
who told
her.
her that. She's probably killed or disregarded everyone who's told her
Right,
that.
but it's true for her. Like, you killed He Who Remains. Probably wasn't the best choice.
Yeah.
We don't know yet, but that has caused the potential destruction of the entire world, universe existence. And then now you, instead of killing Renslayer, when you had the opportunity, like she said, she's played it over 1,000 times in her head. She could have tortured her, but instead makes the wrong decision, kicks her to the end of time where she has
Is literally in
eternity.
an archive of
Right.
like all that
She's in an archive and
information.
has eternity to go through it. She's not going
Right.
to age or whatever. She has, and you sent her through with Miss Minutes, who can probably help her out and like get her out of there.
And keep in mind, there's everything that has been pruned in the history of being pruned is at that end of time.
Yeah,
as
anything
well.
that hasn't been double killed.
Right. Yeah, right. True. So anything that obviously those frayed branches, if they're pruned from that, I don't know.
Could have all showed up. And she wasn't, and Renslayer wasn't even worried. When she arrived at the end of time and saw He Who Remains,
Right.
all she does is she just immediately lets Miss Minutes out, and Miss Minutes is immediately confident, which makes me think, it's like, was all of this planned? Obviously, you can't plan that Sylvie's not going to kill her, but I don't get why, outside of we have to make the plot.
Wait, how did
forward.
Miss Minutes get out of there?
Renslayer immediately takes the pad out and
no, in like season 1, because she was there, right?
Yeah,
she was there at the like Loki season 1, episode 6. How did she get out of the end of time?
I mean, she kind of seems like she can go anywhere when she's
Anywhere?
outside of that little holding device. So
Sure.
she probably, latched onto Loki's tempad. Somebody like she just went
Sure.
back to the TVA.
Got it.
Outside of moving the plot forward, I don't understand why Sylvie did what she did because it makes no sense for the character herself.
Sylvie's decisions are it's weird because Sylvie's decisions
They're what a villain
to
would do.
her, any of her actions means nothing to anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
But us as like MCU watchers, as well as like our 2012 Avengers Loki or 2009 Avengers Loki or whatever, that's seen all this and knew all that information, knew the rest of his life and what happened. He knows that he needs to stop this to save everyone in our world. But Sylvie has gives no shits
No, she
about that.
doesn't.
She doesn't any ties to anybody from our world.
I think
except
she's a
maybe
true
Loki.
villain.
Sure.
Like, they made you root for her. She's not really an anti-hero.
Right. And Loki was a true villain until
Mm-hmm.
until Avengers happened, and then he kind of
Every
slowly
decision
started.
she makes is what happens with villains. Like you make the decision with a completely narcissistic or selfish mindset. That decision ends up going poorly because you could have a lot of time the right decision was right in front of you and you didn't do it.
Right.
Because
So
your inner I need to go above and beyond. Instead of killing somebody, I got to torture them.
right.
That little inside thing that they can't stop themselves from doing is
So
what
yeah,
Sylvie
the
does.
wrong decision. So when you said Sylvie's making the wrong decisions, 100% she's making the wrong decisions because if it's not what our Loki would do, then it's probably the wrong decision because our Loki is acting in the best interest of the sacred timeline and our MCU world. But Sylvie is like, I don't care. Like
She just
I
wants
don't
her now
she doesn't
timeline in
know
the 80s.
right, and she doesn't know her Nexus event either. I don't think Renslayer ever told her what her Nexus event was.
One constant thread that every show has on every platform is when they do that recap in the beginning, they remind you of something, either foreshadow, they remind you of something that they're like telling you, like, hey, remember this happened? You should probably think about that. People that want to think about what's going to happen next, we're going to give you a little hint. They talked about her Nexus event with Renslayer from season 1 in the recap.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
And I think that's something that they're going to eventually explain to us is her Nexus event. Like that's one of the loose ends that they're targeting.
Sure.
Is they're going to tell you what her Nexus event was eventually.
Sure. The theory I saw is Ravonna Renslayer a variant of Kang?
Ooh. Yeah, that would be exciting.
Because and what made me think about this was she said there was a line in there that made me like, is this what they're doing? Like, is this really what they're gonna do? Because when she says I left the TVA and everything just started to collapse. So is her temporal aura being a Kang variant? Was that because she was there? Was that holding the TVA?
Possibly.
In that's what I saw in that one line. I was like, that like, what if it's just the reverse from season?
Well, that would
1?
be they would be mirroring Loki and Kang.
So
like,
well, yeah,
so Loki's variant is Sylvie,
right?
And he fell in love with her. Kang's variant could be Ravonna and fall in love with her.
Yeah, and the one line where she's like, "I left the TVA and it all started crumbling" or whatever.
And also, did you notice the subtle, as he's reading through his guidebook, Kang or Victor Timely mentions that Ouroboros, he just has glowing things to say about Ouroboros and thinks he's just wonderful.
Yeah. So I don't know about him either. It's too good to be true. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ouroboros is too nice, too silly, but also the smartest person in the room.
Right. He's too smart he's also too smart to not react to all these things getting pruned and killed.
Right.
Like he's clearly smart, but also is fine with, like, he's known since the beginning that they're going to be murdering trillions and more than trillions of people.
Right. Yeah.
So none of these people are obviously that innocent, but Ouroboros specifically was there from the beginning with Kang, and Kang clearly looks to him as similar
Write the
intelligence.
book for me. Like
Write the
write
book
the
for me. I'm trusting
right.
you to be my backup because if I'm ever killed, I'm gonna need your guidebook to lead me back
Hold
to
this
this.
place.
Like
Yeah.
this, the TVA guidebooks is Horcrux.
Right. Sure.
I don't know. I so the episode overall felt extremely slow to me,
Sure.
but I it's interesting where they're going. Sylvie is still the most frustrating character I've ever seen in a show. Mobius, I don't like this. They made him seem like he was having fun, even though he seemed like a midlife crisis in the second
Right.
episode. His
Sure.
attitude was completely reversed from episodes 2 and 3. And
The
then,
fact that I like with how he acted to Brad,
yeah,
with how he acted to Brad and where he got a little like feisty and aggressive, I felt like he shouldn't have been trying to reason with Ravonna at that point. Because like Ravonna just backstabbed him after backstabbing him after backstabbing him the entire time. And like at some point you have to be like, listen to me, like you're wrong. We need this to happen, and you need to prevent her from interfering at that point. And that's
Mhm.
what Loki does. That's what Loki does. And I mean, to some extent, that's what Sylvie does. But Mobius, you've got a pruning wand. Like you can hold her back. You can hold her back with the pruning thing. You can put her through a time gate. Like there's got to be more that I feel like he could have kept that like aggressive, not aggressive because Mobius isn't aggressive, but like frustration and like show that frustration in regards to Ravonna not helping and not getting what the stakes are.
Sure.
I guess because she didn't give a shit about the stakes the entire like first season, and then she was just like, I'm gonna go do my own thing. Like everyone else is whatever, it doesn't matter. So
Yeah, absolutely. I want to ask though, what was your least favorite part of the episode?
my least favorite part of the episode was I mean I think I didn't really like the Ravonna missed minutes thing. Like I thought that was kind of weird, but I might just have to agree with you and say Sylvie because like my favorite part of the episode was Jonathan Majors, just seeing him do a whole new person. Like
Sounds like that was most people's favorite parts
it's
of this
just a
episode.
it's just a remarkable the like and
When
Tom
he's
Hiddleston
pleading
is
for his
great.
life from Sylvie there,
Yeah, he's
it's
just
crazy good.
he's just I don't know. They made the right choice from an actor perspective. Like
He's
he's
classically trained in like theater production.
sure.
He's like had many years in theater, and I think that often shows in his delivery of lines because
Right.
his not only does his accent change or like he changed like in this one he has a stutter with Victor Timely,
Right. Yep.
but the way his mouth moves is different in every different
Yeah.
character we've
Yep.
seen him play.
Quantum
Even
Mania Kang was like
yeah,
he would end his mouth like be smug almost.
right. Well,
Like
almost
a
like he
smug.
has so much muscle that even in his face he's ripped and
Yeah.
muscular and overpowering.
Right.
And with Victor Timely, there was times where his lip was shaking. There were when he was pleading for his life from Sylvie, you can see like the tears in his eyes, but the way his lips move, I don't if for those who are like even interested in that sort of
Yeah,
thing.
no, I mean that's what the first thing I said when he in Quantum Mania was the like his lip
Yeah.
formation. Like
You can like if anybody listening, go back and rewatch the part where he's pleading his life from Sylvie and then go and watch his monologue to Ant-Man in Quantumania.
yeah.
His mouth is completely different. And then go watch Victor Timely's speech when he's doing the loom.
Right. So I
All
mean like
three he has facial contortion as well as the act. It's
yeah,
just
and then
it's
He Who
incredible.
Remains too. He Who Remains too is like
Yeah.
fun and quirky and like upbeat.
Like Negan level charming.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so no, it is remarkable. I can't wait. I don't want like obviously I want this saga to keep continuing, but like once the saga ends, there's gonna be a mock-up. Someone's gonna do a video, and it's just gonna be Kang and all of his variants played by Jonathan Majors. Others, right? Because there's like Mr. Gryphon, which Steven Yen could be playing in Thunderbolts or something, possibly.
Yep.
All those variants, and it's just gonna be you're gonna watch just an acting clinic the entire like. It's remarkable. That was my favorite part. Favorite part was Kang.
The
Victor
entire
Timely.
cast. This
Oh
entire
yeah, I mean
cast
yeah.
is insane, even down to like the side characters with
X5 Brad or whatever. Yeah.
Casey, B15, like there's and then obviously Hiddleston, you got Sylvie, you have
Sophie
Mobius,
DiMartino.
you just
Right.
It's insane. The level of talent from top to bottom. The only people that I thought were questionable in terms of believability of a character were some of the audience members in the past when Victor Timely's
Sure.
era here. There was a couple of them that I was like, are you supposed to be in the 1800s like you said we are?
Right.
Or are we in like the 1930s?
Right. Sure.
They felt a little, it felt detached,
Right.
because there were times like they pulled me in a little, because I was honestly expecting more racism. I know that's weird,
No, I mean I agree.
but the
Like
one
that,
thing we heard
but
to me that felt overtly racist was when he calls him boy.
right.
That point I was like, okay, now is when they're going to turn on him. Now when he's going to turn down offers, this is when we're going to see the racism of 1800s happen.
Sure.
And then they kind of just, moved
Cheered.
along with it.
Right. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, you know what? I'm okay with that. Obviously, I don't need to see that to
Right.
understand that that's what those times were
Sure.
like. But that was the one thing that made me like detach, where I was like, oh, I'm watching a show.
Sure.
And
Sure.
then the Jonathan Majors starts talking, Tom Hiddleston starts talking. I'm like, okay, I'm back in.
Right.
But that was it. Outside of that, so my least favorite parts were Sylvie was the most frustrating. I don't think that they were as accurate to the times as they could have been, but I also understand it's a PG-13 show on Disney Plus.
Right.
And then my overall least favorite thing is when they're at the TVA, the loom, they're acting like they have 2 minutes. 2 minutes and the world's gonna blow
Did you
up.
see the loom? Like it's like
Right.
that times a million. And they're like, yeah, we just gotta get him
is like
here.
shaking, and they're saying that the other branches are growing again and is going out of control. We're all gonna die, Ouroboros says repeatedly. And then, we're gonna take our time, eat popcorn or
Right.
Cracker Jack. Like,
and getting him there will just be like
yeah, when Jonathan Majors goes, aren't we going to the TVA to miss minutes? And she's like, let's take our time. I know she doesn't understand. No, she should understand.
She wants it to end so that she can start fresh. Like,
right.
Yeah. So she doesn't mind that the TVA is ending because it's just her and Kang variant.
But
so
when Loki talks to Mobius about needing to basically light a fire under him, that's how I felt. I was like, why is everyone moving so slow when every time we are at the TVA, it basically is, you got 15 minutes, you got 30 minutes, we're all dead, and now it feels inconsistent.
Sure.
So outside of that, I love it. And just because Sylvie's frustrating doesn't necessarily mean I dislike her character.
Right.
I think that's probably what they're going for.
Well, this episode also kind of relieved that frustration.
Yeah.
A little at the end by like what her decision was. So like now hopefully you start to see a change, because it was like you meet Sylvie and she's in the wrong in season 1, and then our Loki and her develop a relationship until they meet He Who Remains, and then she flips.
Yep.
Again. Right. And now she's still in that kind of mindset. And now it's like, hopefully this is like a flip again. And now she's back into like, I'm going to do the right thing the wrong way, I guess. But
like a side thing with Sylvie. But how long do you think she was in that timeline before they went to her? Like, how long was she working at McDonald's?
From where she walked in her full get up, she knew what she was doing. Some maybe 3 weeks.
3 weeks, okay.
2 to 4 weeks.
So if it's like a year and a half, like if you said like, oh, she's been there quite a while, you could always throw in she has a husband or has a kid.
Right.
You could always throw that.
I'm gonna say at least 2 to 4 weeks.
So probably no kid.
She has a truck, but then at the same time, like
she has a job and a truck and clearly a place to live, and
or she's also has magical powers, so she could just summon a place to live, or summon a car, or steal someone's car, turn someone into a frog and let them bounce away. Like, yeah, at least 2 weeks, because she knows what she's doing, and if she's a quick learner, which she probably is because she's a genius and a god, then at least 2 weeks is my opinion, because she knows what she's doing. They have her running the front register. I get, like, you know what I mean? So that's my 2 cents.
Okay. Yeah, I was just wondering, because if it was a long time, I would think, you know what, they might throw in a curveball with where she lives.
Right.
Like, oh no, that guy that offered to take her home's actually gonna be her husband and whatever in the future. So we'll see what happens there. I don't know what's gonna happen in the next episode. I would assume they're bringing Victor Timely to the TVA.
Right.
Ravonna and Miss Minutes are gonna show up at the TVA as well.
It's gonna be chaos, and I don't know if it's gonna be this next episode, but Victor Timely at some point is not gonna be this good guy that
and it's gonna have something to do with the partner thing.
Right. Sure.
I think they're going to show desperate need to not have a partner is the proof that why he believes he should be the only person alive left.
Right. Which is a Kang mentality.
Mm-hmm. It's every single Kang.
Yeah. It's a Kang mentality. And that
which
goes
is
right
why
down
I think
to
that's Ravonna's goal too.
Right. Yeah. We're right. Renslayer possibly being a Kang variant makes sense too.
Yeah. I think that's a really good theory. Right. I think even if she's not, they are the same.
Right.
Even if she isn't a Kang variant, she has the same mentality as Kang.
Sure.
It'll be interesting to see where they go. Yeah, that's really all I got on this episode. I don't really have any crazy theories. Oh, yeah. I can't really think of any crazy theories outside of I think the comment on OB was proof that they're going to make him and Kang, like he's the only person that Kang's willing to technically partner with.
So we got 3 weeks left of Loki. We got episode on the 26th coming up, the 2nd, and then the finale on the 9th. The 10th is when the Marvels comes out. So we got the next fun-packed 3 weeks. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So make sure you're along for the ride by subscribing, following, sharing, like everything. Yeah, that thumbs up button, just press it. But yeah, make sure you like and subscribe because this is very fun to do and we want to keep doing it. I just want to let you all know you look great today. G.
Don't wanna sleep in, cause I got something to prove. I gotta take what I hate and finally make a move. I think of you and all the shit you don't do. Well, I'ma make hella sure that I don't become you. Have no regrets, yeah, I'm tired of my chest. I'll never forget what it's